Welcome in, everyone. Ready for a deep dive on something most people just whisper about?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to tackle herpes outbreaks today.
Okay.
And no, not just the, oh no, a cold sore kind.
Yeah.
We're talking the whole shebang.
It's one of those things,
Oh,
right? So much misinformation out there.
oh, totally.
We're going straight to the source.
Straight to the source. Reddit, forums, support groups, personal stories. We've got it all compiled here,
Wow.
along with some, solid medical research to keep things grounded.
Of course, of course.
Now, before we dive in, big disclaimer. This is medical advice, okay?
Yeah.
This is just for knowledge boosting only. Always chat with your doctor for personalized guidance.
Always good to have that reminder. Think of this as arming yourself with better understanding.
I like that knowledge is armor. Okay, so first up, let's dismantle some of the scariest myths out there. You with me?
Oh, I am ready to debunk. Lead the way.
Okay, picture this. You hear herpes outbreak,
Yeah.
and instantly you're imagining what? Huge, painful sores.
Yeah.
Like popping up constantly, right?
Yeah.
Like straight out of a medical drama.
Yeah.
Turns out that's way off for most people.
Yeah. It's those really extreme cases that tend to stick in your mind, right?
Well,
Unfortunately. But the CDC and NCBI, they paint a much different picture.
Okay.
For many people, outbreaks, they actually become milder and less frequent over time.
Interesting. So it's like your immune system is taking notes, learning the virus's tricks.
Exactly. Your body gradually builds up its defenses. Plus, and this is a fact that'll blow your mind, a whopping 87.4% of folks with herpes are what?
Wow.
Asymptomatic.
No way.
They never even show symptoms.
So all those horror stories we hear, not the norm at all.
Not even close. And that's really important because it shifts the focus from like constant outbreak fear to, understanding how herpes, how it uniquely affects each individual.
Yeah.
Stress, diet, overall health.
Yeah?
These can all influence how often or even if someone experiences outbreaks.
So less about predicting like doom and gloom.
Right.
And more about just knowing your own body and what might trigger a flare-up.
You got it. And speaking of triggers,
Yes.
let's unravel this whole mystery of prodrome symptoms.
Okay.
Those little warning signs that an outbreak might be brewing.
Okay, so it's like our bodies are trying to give us a heads up. Like what kind of signals are we talking
Yeah.
about? Think, tingling, itching.
Okay.
Maybe even like a strange nerve pain
Okay.
in the area where you usually experience outbreaks.
Oh, so that weird like pins and needles feeling, that's not just me being paranoid.
Not at all.
Okay.
Now, it's not like a foolproof system.
Right.
Sometimes it's a false alarm,
Yeah.
but those prodrome symptoms, definitely worth paying attention to.
Especially since you mentioned they can signal viral shedding even without a visible outbreak.
Yes.
That's huge for preventing transmission.
Absolutely. And, while we're on the topic of outbreaks, I think it's helpful to remember they can manifest in different ways.
Right.
Depending on the type of herpes you have.
Right.
We often focus on like the classic sores.
But it can also involve cuts
Okay.
and even affect oral or nasal areas.
Right. Herpes isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Right.
We won't get into the visuals here,
Right.
but for those interested, there are some helpful diagrams and images in the source material. Break it all down.
It's always good to have like a visual reference.
Totally. Okay, so let's talk strategy then.
All right.
We know the warning signs,
Yeah.
but what can we actually do to prevent outbreaks or manage them when they do occur?
Right.
And like our source material is a gold mine of tips and remedies.
Oh, it really runs the gamut.
Yes.
From, dietary tweaks to like surprising home remedies.
Okay.
One of the big debates is around lysine and arginine. Have you heard about this one?
I've definitely seen it mentioned a lot, especially in like online forums.
Yeah.
Something about certain foods triggering outbreaks.
Exactly. So the theory is that lysine, an amino acid, might help prevent outbreaks, while arginine, another amino acid, could potentially trigger them.
Interesting.
It gets a little technical, but basically they compete in the body.
So it's like a dietary tug of war.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing. While it's worth exploring if you're concerned about food triggers,
Right.
the source material really emphasizes that most people don't have significant dietary triggers.
So no need to like overhaul your entire diet based on this one theory.
Probably not, no, but the guide does recommend keeping a food journal
Okay.
to track any potential correlations.
Okay.
It's all about that personalized approach.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about those of us who are already like fans of supplements.
Right.
The guide seems to have quite a few suggestions in that department.
It does, and some of them have some interesting science backing them up.
Okay, let's hear it.
So L-lysine, that amino acid we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
a popular one,
Okay.
it might work by blocking the arginine that the herpes virus needs to replicate.
So it's like cutting off the virus's food supply.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty clever.
Right.
I like it.
The guide also mentions other vitamins and supplements that might be beneficial.
Okay.
Vitamin B, B12, C, D3, E, zinc.
Oh, wow. So it's like
A lot of them.
the whole alphabet.
Yeah, basically anything that supports a healthy immune system.
Right. Makes sense. A strong immune system is your best defense against any virus.
Exactly.
Okay. But there's one remedy in here that caught me completely off guard. Manuka honey.
Ah,
What's the deal with that?
I know. It sounds a little out there,
Okay.
but it pops up a lot in natural remedy circles.
Okay.
And
Is it just a placebo effect?
mm,
Or...
it's more than just hype. It actually has some potential antiviral and wound healing properties.
Interesting.
The guide even gets specific, recommending a 1/2 to 1 tablespoon 3 times a day,
Oh, wow.
and highlighting its topical application as well.
So not just for your tea then?
Definitely not.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about supplements and honey. What about those more like traditional topical treatments?
Right. The guide does mention some familiar names like Abreva and even Lysine chapstick.
Okay.
But get this, it also recommends diaper rash cream.
Really? Diaper rash cream for herpes outbreaks?
You heard that right. It's all about the zinc oxide content. Zinc oxide is known for its soothing and protective properties,
Right.
making it surprisingly effective for managing those uncomfortable symptoms.
Wow, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah,
You learn something new every day.
absolutely. And speaking of learning new things, the guide also dives into some more unconventional remedies that people swear by.
Okay.
Decetin, for example,
The diaper rash cream.
the one and only.
Okay.
Apparently that zinc oxide really does work wonders.
Huh.
Then there's Bactine spray for that, like instant cooling relief.
Okay.
Coconut oil for its moisturizing and potential antiviral property.
Okay, coconut oil I get. Seems to be good for everything these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And then to round it all out, even tea tree oil gets a mention.
Wow, okay.
But very important caution with that one. Never use it internally.
Good to know.
Yeah.
It seems like there's no shortage of options out there.
Right.
Both, like conventional and unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the best prevention strategies, we know outbreaks can still happen.
Of course. Yeah.
So let's talk about those times when, despite our best efforts, we need to focus on, managing discomfort and promoting healing.
Mm-hmm. It's about having, like, a toolkit of strategies at the ready.
Right.
And sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like take warm baths, for example.
Yes.
The guide mentions how many people find relief from a good soak,
Ah.
especially with Epsom salts.
The warm water can be so soothing.
Yes.
And Epsom salts are thought to help reduce inflammation and pain. Plus, there's something just so therapeutic about, like, taking a moment for yourself when you're not feeling your best.
Totally. And the guide mentions that for those without a bathtub, a sitz bath is a great alternative.
There you go. It's all about finding what works for you and your lifestyle.
Exactly. And beyond warm baths, there are other soothing remedies, like warm or cool compresses, witch hazel pads, even just wearing loose clothing and cotton underwear can make a big difference.
It's all about, minimizing irritation and creating an environment where your body can heal comfortably.
Now, we've talked about like the physical discomfort of outbreaks.
Right.
But there's another side to this that can be particularly frustrating, and that's nerve pain.
Yeah.
It's something that comes up a lot in the source material.
And for good reason. Nerve pain is a really common experience with herpes, and it can manifest in so many different ways.
Right.
Tingling, itching, soreness. Some even describe it as this sharp stabbing sensation.
Ouch. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No.
What causes that kind of nerve pain?
Yeah.
Is it the virus itself?
It all comes down to where the herpes virus likes to hang out when it's not causing an outbreak, your nerve endings.
So it's like the virus is playing hide and seek in your nervous system.
In a way, yes.
Wow.
And depending on the type of herpes you have,
Okay.
HSV1 or HSV2, it tends to favor different nerve pathways. HSV2 often camps out in the nerves at the base of the spine, while HSV1 prefers the nerves in the neck.
Okay.
Yeah.
That explains why the pain can be so unpredictable and hard to pinpoint. But if it's not an active outbreak, what can you even do about nerve pain? So it sounds like with nerve pain, it's really a whole other beast to deal with. Like, what can people do to try to find some relief?
Well, the guide offers a few different strategies.
Okay.
Warm baths, again, often top the list
Okay.
because that warmth can sometimes soothe those nerves. There's also lidocaine cream, which can be applied topically to just kind of like help numb the area a little bit.
Makes sense. And I've even heard of people using like over-the-counter shingles creams for nerve pain.
Exactly, exactly. Because shingles also involves the nerves, some of those treatments can be helpful for herpes-related nerve pain as well.
Okay.
But here's the crucial thing.
Okay.
If the pain is constant, if it's severe, or if it just doesn't seem to be following the typical pattern, it's really important to talk to your doctor.
Yeah. Always better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Now, while we're talking about kind of like the aftermath of outbreaks, I know scarring is a concern for a lot of people.
Right, because no one wants to be left with, like, lasting reminders of an outbreak.
Right. And thankfully, it's not a foregone conclusion.
Okay, good.
The guide emphasizes that if you can resist that urge to scratch or pick at sores,
Right.
you'll significantly reduce your risk of scarring.
Easier said than done.
I know, right?
But good to know that it can make a difference.
It really can. And there are even some products that people find helpful for minimizing scarring, like bio oil.
Right.
And you know those Manuka honey ointments we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
They can be helpful for that too.
Manuka honey strikes again.
I know, right?
It's like really a multitasker in the world of natural remedies.
It really is.
Okay. I have to ask about something that's been on my mind this whole deep dive. Antiviral medications.
Okay.
Are they like the magic bullet for preventing outbreaks and, making all of this worry disappear?
Right. It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yes.
And the guide really emphasizes that the decision of whether or not to take antivirals is a personal one.
Right.
Best made in consultation with your doctor.
Of course. That makes sense. There's no, like, one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to medication.
Right.
But let's talk about, like, the potential, benefits and drawbacks for a minute.
Sure. So on the plus side, studies have shown that antiviral medications can significantly reduce the frequency of outbreaks for some people. They can also help to, lessen the severity of outbreaks when they do happen. And there's even some evidence suggesting that they can reduce the risk of transmission to partners.
Wow. Okay. So those are some, like, pretty compelling reasons to consider them.
Yeah.
But I know there are also reasons why antivirals might not be right for everyone.
Right, you're right. Some people might have, pre-existing medical conditions
Right.
or take other medications that could interact with antivirals.
Right.
And while serious side effects are rare, some people do experience milder ones. It's about weighing kind of the potential benefits against any risks or concerns you might have.
And, of course, cost can be a factor, too.
Absolutely, yeah. But it is worth noting that there are resources out there that aim to make antivirals more affordable.
Okay.
Like Mark Cuban's Cost Plus Drugs. Right. And online services like WISP.
Okay. That's good to know.
Oh.
So it sounds like the landscape of, like, antiviral access is evolving, which is encouraging.
Yeah.
But I think, like, ultimately the takeaway here is that the decision to take antivirals is a personal one.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to your doctor is crucial.
I completely agree. Open communication with your healthcare provider is key.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've busted myths, we've decoded symptoms, and we explored a whole arsenal of remedies, from the, like, conventional to the completely unexpected.
It's amazing what you can learn when you just dive deep into a topic like this.
Right.
And I think, the most important thing to remember is that everyone's experience with herpes is different.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another, and
Right.
that's perfectly okay.
Totally. It's all about finding what works best for you.
Exactly.
And that might involve, like, some trial and error along the way.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to experiment and see what works best for your body.
Love that. And to everyone listening, don't underestimate the power of self-advocacy.
Yes.
Talk to your doctor, ask questions, and explore different options. This deep dive has been a crash course in herpes outbreaks.
Yeah.
But it's really just a starting point.
Right.
I encourage you to check out the source material for yourself,
Mm.
dive deeper into those community resources, and continue to be, an active participant in your own health journey.
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
And you've armed yourself with a lot of it today.
Could have said it better myself. As you continue on your journey, here's a final thought to ponder. How can proactive management and a little self-advocacy empower your own unique herpes experience?